Hi, hello again. This is Brian Copeland talking. Welcome to another edition of Copeland's Corner. I have a distinguished panel of comics, as always. Kevin Avery is with us this week, Tony Camin, and joining us for the first time is Gini Sikes. I want to welcome everybody. Lots and lots to talk about. If you've never seen this before, we just chat. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not, but we always find a way to make it interesting. So, of course, the big news this week is I'm going to tell you, we record this on Wednesday. It drops on Thursday. So some of the stuff we talk about may have changed as more information becomes available between the time that we record and the time we drop. So if you're going, wait a minute, we already knew that. Well, okay, well, we didn't. We're not Nostradamus here. Well, I am, but the rest of them are. The big news today, of course, is Jimmy Kimmel's return to the air on Tuesday night. And I got to start with this, and that is Trump had a meltdown, had an absolute meltdown on Truth Social. Why would they put him back on? He's got low ratings. He's got no talent, blah, 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 blah. Fake news, ABC, blah, threatening him again. Well, according to the most recent numbers, looking at views, okay, which is interesting too, because nobody watches late night television really in real time, like we all grew up watching Carson and everything else, beginning to end or whatever. You watch the monologue, you watch the guests you want to see or the band you want to see, and that's it. Well, normally, the average that Kimmel has in views of his monologue is 240,000. 240,000 a night is what his average is. Want to take a wild guess as to what last night was? Over 7 million. Over
Whoa.
7 million. Now, when I first saw it this morning, it was at 6.7 million. Now it's over 7 million and growing and continuing to grow. So the fact that Trump went after him is like done wonders. And I knew this was going to be the case. Of course, you can expect it to our road and everything else, but now he's a cause celeb. But just a couple of things, and then I'll get to some feedback from you. Just my thoughts. Did everybody see the monologue? I didn't see the whole show. I watched the monologue. I watched it like everybody else. I watched it on YouTube. All right. I think that he struck the right tone. I think that what he had to say in terms of clarifying any remarks that may have been misconstrued, that got him in trouble. We all know he didn't do a damn thing that was wrong or say anything that was remotely offensive, especially when you hear some of the crap that you hear on Fox News that they say. The fact that he talked about the power of the people and the fact that there were so many people who canceled Disney Plus and canceled Hulu and canceled ESPN Plus. The fact that you had over 400 members of the Screen Actors Guild, A-listers, who said, we're not working for Disney. We're not working for ABC. We're not working for anything that, I guess that includes Lucasfilm and anything else that Disney owns, is as long as they let this stand. And there's a great picture of Robert Downey Jr. and Chris. I always forget the Chris's. Who's Captain America? So it's Chris Evans, right?
Evans.
Evans. Okay. So you got Iron Man, you got Captain America, and you've got the Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, all flipping off Disney. One thing, have you seen that picture?
Nice. I haven't seen that.
Value. Oh, flipping off Disney. So he said that the power of the people and the people's voice is too much for bullies. And if we stand together and we all stay together and we are loud enough, we can push back against the bullies. I like the tone that he struck when, also the fact that he name checked right wingers who came out in defense of him. Candace Owens. I mean, people who want to know other circumstances with their names come out of most people's mouths without some kind of an expletive afterwards. But Candace Owens, Mitch McConnell came out in favor of him. Ted Cruz said that what they did to him would be bad news for conservatives moving forward when the tide changes, as it always does. So I love that he nailed the FCC. He nailed Brendan Carr, the chair of the FCC, with his statements about free speech in 2022 versus now. Trump's 2022 statements about the First Amendment versus now. I love the fact that he went after trying that he showed I'm not pulling back. Just because I'm back on, I'm not going to be so grateful to you that I'm going to pull back. He hit him with just the same way he hit him last week before he was yanked off the air. So, but I think the most touching thing was what he had to say about Charlie Kirk's widow and her speech, and asking for praying for and acknowledging that she forgives the man who killed the father of her children. And when you look at that, and I don't know how much of this memorial, because it turned into a hate rally, it really did after her. If that memorial had stuck to that tone, it really would have been something. But instead, it turned into Trump talking about how he hates his enemies. So those are just my observations. So one by one, I want to ask you just any thoughts you got about what it is you saw, and then we'll all jump in together. Jenny, since you have never done this before, I'm going to let you go first. So your thoughts.
Okay. So I'm a journalist, in addition to being a comedian. So this issue is pretty close to my heart. But it was interesting because Mike Pence said that the First Amendment didn't apply to talk show hosts. And I don't know where he found that information. But the thing to me is this isn't only about talk show hosts, and that Carr had said he would do this. What I find really interesting is it's one-sided. As much as he is criticizing there's a liberal bent, and that he's going to go after networks that demonstrate a liberal bent. Fox News has a conservative bent, and they don't seem to worry about that prejudice. And it's the highest rated show. So I don't know what he thinks the problem is, because Fox News exists without this sort of policing. And, Sinclair is not allowing Kimmel on its stations. Well, some of those stations are in Portland and Seattle. I would say that has a big Jimmy Kimmel audience. So I hope that they do the same thing that we saw here with people protesting outside the studios, because if they really want to give the local studios autonomy and to choose their own programming and listen to the people, I have a feeling that a lot of people will let them know that they want to see Kimmel.
Well, I should tell you too, just a couple of quick things to mention. I think it was something like 20 or 25% of the country was not able to see Kimmel live last night because of Sinclair, and I forget the name of the other company. Sinclair, if you're not familiar with the Sinclair station group, and I worked in local television for years here in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
They are a very, very right-wing company. And in fact, they made news last 2 years, because they had a right-wing commentator who was closely tied to Trump, who was doing commentaries every night that were must-runs on all of their station.
The script that they made all the anchors read.
Yeah, it was a right-wing thing. Well, plus they also had his commentaries with this guy reading him as well. I forget his name, but they were very, very right-wing. So it doesn't surprise me. What I'd like to see happen is what happened with Cron here in San Francisco. Cron was for years and years, decades, the NBC affiliate in San Francisco. Then when the family that owned Cron decided to sell it, NBC said, we want to buy it. And if you sell it to anybody else, we'll yank the affiliation. And they sold it to a higher bidder at NBC. This about 20, 25 years ago, yanked the affiliation and gave it to a different station. And if Sinclair and these other stations won't run ABC programming, then Disney should have some balls. And I'm sure there are plenty of other stations that are not network affiliates that would be happy to have ABC programming. So, Tony, your thoughts?
I agree with you. I thought his tone was perfect, the perfect tone. He showed a lot of compassion. He teared up at the thought of the killing, and he gave empathy to his wife, Erica, I think his name is. It's more about free speech. I thought that was a hard. If you're a comedy writer, all of us are. You go in that day, you're like, oh, what? How do we approach this huge thing? And I thought he did it perfectly. I thought even if you're in against him, like you said, the Ted Cruz thing spoke volumes. These are because he front loaded the Ted Cruz thing was Ted Cruz saying, I'm happy he's fired, but this is a bad thing overall. So I thought that was a good, like you said, the tone is even in movies or a lot of, even with bands, the tone is sometimes the hardest thing to nail, because once you have the tone, all the other jokes can kind of go on that tone. And I thought that tone was perfect tone. And again, all the Sinclair and Nexstar stuff, when you sign up to work for a company, whatever it is, you're beholden to them. And that's a different thing than when the FCC steps in and starts saying things. That's governmental censorship. And I think that's the big line that happened here. It didn't happen with Roseanne, didn't happen with anybody else. This is the first time the FCC has stepped in. And I think that's where we get real hardcore government censorship is starting to come in.
See, people don't understand about the First Amendment, and the First Amendment doesn't say that you have the right to say whatever you want.
No.
What the First Amendment says is that the government can't censor you, and the government, so that's
the first case of that where it's getting into the government.
Well, there's one I've got to look at, because the fact Jack Parr, who hosted the Tonight Show before Carson, was off the air for I think a week or 2 or 3 or something, because he made some joke about a water closet, like in 1963 or 4 or something, and everybody went. So I don't know if it was NBC that yanked him or if it was the FCC that yanked him. It could have been either one, but that's the only other time something like this happened. And when he came back, and his first line, by the way, was exactly the same thing that Kimmel said. As I was saying, or as I was saying before I was interrupted, that was the first thing that Jack Parr said. I've seen it's on YouTube. You can find the clip.
I'm sure Jimmy did that on purpose too.
Yeah, I bet that was. I agree. I bet that was purposeful. He's such a historian of talk show hosts. He holds them. So I'm sure that's what that was pulled from. But yeah, so this is the latest censorships. You say Roseanne, or even going back to the Geico when the Affleck thing.
Oh, with Gilbert.
But Gilbert, I love Gilbert, but I understand because they're not banning you from stand-up. They're banning you from working for them, and they had a big Japanese market. So I kind of get that. I don't agree with, but I see that as like, we're hiring you. So as soon as you hire someone, so I could see Sinclair and Nexstar saying, hey, we don't want this as someone we're hiring. But when the FCC steps in, I think that's a big line that's different.
Mm-hmm. All right, Kevin, any thoughts?
First of all, just to go back to what you're saying about Mike Pence, I love the idea of the founding fathers just etching in a little provision in the Constitution about talk shows and talk show hosts. The late night comedy is going to be big, guys. We gotta cover that in this document. Just to sort of reiterate what you guys were saying, I thought it was the perfect tone. I love that it was two monologues in one, and the first whatever 12 minutes or whatever it was really stuck to, this is what happened, this is what's going on, and painted a very vivid picture. And I think that's where the Ted Cruz part came in and just really spoke to how important this was in this moment, and also his gratitude. And I think it's very easy to go, but what about the Man Show, and what about this, and what about that? And this is a guy who we've all watched over the years evolve as a host, as a comedian, as a TV personality. And so I think what he did last night really spoke volumes. And then, second half of that monologue, they came back and it's just jokes. It's classic Jimmy doing what he does, still staying on theme though. I love De Niro showing up. I think it's very easy for celebrities in the moment to whether you're an actor or a rock star or whatever, to sort of speak up and say a thing and then you never hear from them again. And I love that you get the guy who has been consistently speaking out against this administration. And so I appreciated that. And also De Niro, still funny, still that could have been a
He's
really
hilarious.
awkward thing. Yeah, because it's, we've been around, it's sort of like it was clearly like a satellite kind of thing or whatever, but that dude didn't let up. Still hilarious, and I really enjoyed it. There you go. They should have called you, Tony.
Thanks.
You got a solid De Niro, and I don't know why they didn't.
All I did was shake my head, but it's pretty good.
That's all you had to do.
Not bad. Not bad.
All right, let me ask you this: is there anything that, if any of you were in that position, is there anything that you would have done differently as far as that monologue's concerned? And I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything that is there anything you watching it saw and thought, but I would have added this, or I might not have said that part. And I can't think of anything. There's nothing I would have changed. There's not a darn thing I would have changed.
It's such a these guys, I'm sure, stayed up and just nailed this, like all the writers. Like, you wanted to, this is going to be your most watched monologue probably of the whole run, I would imagine, besides maybe the last show, whatever. So that so much work went into it. And he seems definitely, like Kevin said, he's tossing off just Jimmy Kimmel jokes at the second half. Like, he's just back in form. Mm-hmm. And that's so hard to pull off. He makes it look so easy. So I agree with you. I wouldn't change a thing. Only change is like, it's Tony Camin's live. Tony Camin. That's the only thing I would change.
It's no, we're
all
not going to do
about
that
you.
One thing that really stood out to me was that you saw the compassion and the human come out, and he wears his heart on his sleeve, not. He's done it before, but this, to me, whether he rehearsed it multiple times or not, was really evident that it was coming from the heart, and that he had been hurting, from the results of it and from what he sees as being misunderstood.
Well, there's nothing worse than being publicly misunderstood for something like that, especially when you meant the opposite. And I'll be honest with you, I think that's a bunch of horse shit. I don't think anybody publicly misunderstood him.
No.
I think that the right saw an opportunity to go after him, and they did.
And Brian, real quick, he didn't even say anything that wrong.
No, he didn't.
Because you could show clips of the right wing bending backwards to it. That part was like, there was a lot of truth to what he said. And it was nothing against Charlie Kirk himself at all.
No, he made one mistake, and the mistake was that he called the shooter MAGA. And at the time that he recorded that, at the time that he taped that opening, it wasn't proven, but it was in the air. And that was one of the several theories that was being talked about. And it's something, here's the problem. Here's one of the biggest problems that we have in broadcasting in society today. And that is, people do not know the difference between news and commentary.
Yes.
With news, you're supposed to be like, you guys all see All the President's Men. I'm sure everybody saw the president. We had to have a second source to back it up. You had to have your source that gave the information. You had to have a second source to back it up. That's journalism. That's news. That's not a comic making jokes. It's not Sean Hannity pulling stuff out of his ass. These are commentators, but people don't know. And to find out that there's so many Gen Zers when they do polls who get their news from The Daily Show, and they get their news from stand-up monologues
and Joe Rogan. I mean,
and Rogan and podcasts.
These people are commentators. It's funny. Back in the 70s or 80s, I used to love 60 Minutes, and it's like, oh yeah, it's a good news story. And my stepmother was like, yeah, Andy Rooney, his great news. It's like, no, that's commentary.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and
one second. That was her takeaway.
Yes.
Was her. You got Mike Wallace, who's like, dropping into war zones and all this, and her takeaway was, why do they call it that anyway?
Yeah. Chickens are too loud.
55 minutes of news, and then the last 5 minutes of this is the hard-hitting stuff.
But also, you could see, as someone who's not discerning or has a critical thought, it's all news.
Right.
It's all under this news umbrella. Whether it's the paper or a podcast, it's all news. Whether you can't discern. Oh, this is an opinion. This is a letter to the editor. This is not news.
Well, what's interesting is that Desi, is it Liddick from the Daily Show, made the same. They didn't do the same joke, obviously, but I think before Kimmel, they had shown that same clip and done sort of the same thing that Kimmel's joke really went in the direction of Trump and making fun of Trump, and that's what they did on the Daily Show. And it was so. I'm like, I saw this clip. I saw jokes about this already. And it was such a clearly targeted move on him, and just clearly, oh, I'm tired of these late night guys, and also because of that provision in the Constitution that late night show can't, But I just think like we're talking about
we the people in living color.
Yeah, exactly.
To Tony's point about commentary, after this happened, after Charlie Kirk's death, Bezos' Washington Post fired a longtime op-ed writer for expressing her opinion about Charlie Kirk. And opinion is in her job title. Yeah. Now, this wasn't the FCC, but it's obviously, corporations censoring. I mean, I can't believe they were censoring their own opinion editor for an opinion. So I think that's a real valid point about commentary.
More so than that, even, is that, number one, it was the only African-American op-ed writer they've got.
Right,
That's
exactly.
Number two, during the entire first Trump administration, Bezos was so, pro-freedom and so anti-Trump. And remember, they changed the slogan of the Washington Post to "Democracy dies in darkness." Yeah. Now he's got his head up Trump's ass.
Right.
And, they've changed the editorial slant, and that's why she got let go. And I guess that's the thing that's the scariest to me is we can't trust the news anymore.
No.
I mean, once CBS. Who was it I was watching? There was somebody I was watching. I can't think of who it is, who was watching or listening to. I've taken so much media. Who was talking about watching. I tell you, it was Midas Touch. It was Midas Touch this morning. Talking about watching a football game on Sunday, and then after on CBS, and then afterwards they went right into the network news, and the news talked about the memorial and they made it sound like Charlie Kirk was Martin Luther King, and President Trump gave a rousing did you hear his speech? I hate my opponents. I don't wish.
Oh, that was really upsetting.
But it was so slanted that if you didn't see it, you would think, oh, this was a very, very nice, respectful, nice thing. And part of it is because part of the CBS deal that when they settled on the 60 Minutes suit, part of the deal was that the Trump administration gets somebody in the newsroom to be an arbiter of whether or not something's fair or not.
Wow.
So how the hell can we trust anything that they report regarding Trump when you got somebody looking over their shoulder going, you can't broadcast that.
Mm-hmm.
Brian, about the Washington Post reporter, Brendan Carr at the FCC, one of the other things that he was pushing for was diversity, getting rid of diversity. And so the fact that she was a Black woman, he got a double hit from that.
All right, let me ask you this question. And again, this is it's different, but it's not. For years when Tony and Kevin, we were coming up. We always used to talk about how stand up was the last bastion of free speech, because you could pretty much get on stage and say just about anything. I mean, if you walked people, you might not get booked again, but you could get up and you could say anything. Do you think that the climate has changed? Do you think we can still say anything? That's the first question. Second question is, have you ever gotten in trouble for a joke that you told, not on TV or radio or any? I've never gotten in trouble on broadcasting I can think of. But in terms of on a live stage somewhere, have you ever gotten in trouble, or had a club owner or a booker or something happen that ever got you in trouble for something you said during your set?
I think you still can say anything. I just think now the mechanisms through how people are brought stand up have multiplied. I mean, like we were doing this, at least when we started, it was pre internet boom and pre, social media. And so you can, I always hate the phrase when people say, well, you can't say that. Yeah, you can. You might sound like an asshole, but you can say it. You might hear from, people who don't like what you say. Now I can do a thing at a show, and then on Instagram or whatever, I can hear from people who didn't like it and decided. Now, do I think people's time could be better spent on other things than reaching out to, trying to slide into my DMs? Yes, but you can say what you want. You just, now you can, the social blowback will be, it's more easy to receive. It's there. And I got in trouble. I remember doing a show at some university, I can't remember what, and in the school's paper, they wrote, they didn't like a joke I did. They thought it was anti-women. I can assure you it wasn't, but that's how they took it. And I can accept that. And then I never got hired at that university again. And that's it. That's the end. That's how, so I think you could still say whatever. You just got to be ready for whatever consequences.
I got in trouble recently. I was in Michigan at Ann Arbor, and the audience was very divided. It was old people and very young people. And I told a joke about pedophilia. So, I knew it wasn't going to be well, anyway, but the old
depending
people
on the age of the listener, go on.
Yeah. Old people had no problem with it. It was a young woman, and she complained to the management, and they talked to me. And the takeaway, I mean, I'm exactly agree with Kevin. The takeaway was I need to know my audience, and I'm more careful like when I say it. But yeah, I mean, I kind of get it, but they didn't say you can never come back here, but they just said, don't tell your pedophilia joke.
Tony, I know you've never gotten in trouble.
I've gotten
Tony.
in trouble. I got in trouble this morning, but that's my wife. I agree with Kevin. You can say anything. There's no network. When you're on stage, you're live. Someone can maybe turn off the lights or like that. Rarely happens. So, but then in the long form, like you said, you have comedy club owners, you have even bigger, you have sometimes corporations behind those comedy club, Live Nation, whatever. So there might be long-term ramifications, but when you're up there, you could say anything. And now the comedy world is so segmented where there's right-wing comics, you have the Mothership people and the Rogan people, you got left-wing. It's not like when I started anyway, we just went to see comedy. It was like, it's like music now, where you go see jazz or you go see this kind of thing. You kind of know what you're in for. People Google the comic. You just don't go to the punchline because we're just going to go. You usually know who you're going to go see these days. Mm-hmm. So I think that when all these people are talking about colleges being, too PC, I don't think that's true. I think there's always going to be some element in the audience that disagrees with you. And that's where I was talking about being punished. I've been more punished for like religious things and maybe saying things that were like anti-redneck than actual, hey, don't, that's not cool. But mostly you're punished. And I think this is in real time by the crowd. If you say something and someone takes offense with it, you deal with it in real time. And I think a journeyman comic or someone who will deal with it in hopefully a way that's funny and makes your point. So I think that's the real time way that we have to deal with pushback is just we're not in front of cameras. We're facing people's eyeballs and brain. We're looking at them and saying this thing. So I get it on a minor level just in real time sometimes, It's
either instant gratification or instant.
Yeah. But then you have to earn your point. You still have to win over the crowd with your point. We all remember Kevin Rooney. He was so great at that.
Yes.
He would take difficult and he would win you over, So I think it's our job to, if we're up there, we can say anything, but if we back it up with, when we do get punished, even by audience members, not so necessarily our club owners, we have to deal with that, and hopefully we're skilled enough or have the points to make it funny and lighten the situation up,
Right. And also, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I've got a situation where I thought I'd get in trouble and I didn't, and a situation where I still don't understand it. There was a place and I'm going to name it because screw them. They haven't booked me in, so I'm going to go ahead and name it.
Let's hear it.
There was a place in where are they, in Saratoga, California, down near the Silicon Valley, called Villa Montalvo.
Yes,
I don't know if you guys
know
Villa Montalvo.
Yeah.
I think they're like a winery, and they do a lot of live shows. And I have done a bunch of shows there over the years. I've opened for Smokey Robinson there. I used to open for Earth, Wind, and Fire every time Earth, Wind, and Fire came. I probably did at least a dozen, if not more, shows there over the years, and always killed. It's outdoors. It seats something like 500 or 700 people, something like that. Every one I ever did was sold out because I was lucky enough to be on a bill with someone who would sell it out. Like Smokey Robinson sold it out. Earth, Wind, and Fire sold it out. So I was opening for them and absolutely killed. Never had a bad set. They're absolutely killed. Always work. That's the thing they tell you, work clean. If you're opening for somebody, you got to work clean. When they say clean, TV, broadcast television clean. I had a great set. The band was happy. Everybody was happy. So I call a couple of weeks later and say, what else is coming up? And we can't use you anymore. I go, what do you mean you can't use me? Well, why? Well, there was a joke that you told, and I don't even remember what the joke was, but they got one complaint from a patron.
Wow.
One complaint from a patron. And because of the one complaint from a patron, I was not allowed to work there anymore.
Ouch. Wow.
Now, I'm sure it wasn't something racist. I'm sure it wasn't something sexist. I'm sure I didn't cuss. I have no idea. I don't even remember what it was. It's that innocuous. And this is years ago. This is probably 15 years ago since that happened. So that's the one time that I actually got in trouble. I didn't remember what it is. As I said, it was that innocuous. And I didn't, I have not been back to that venue since. Now, the one where I'm surprised I didn't get in trouble is Tom Sawyer, who's the executive producer and booking producer of this. Oh, he's next.
Oh boy.
Of this podcast, and the one who made Cobb's Comedy Club. Cobb's Comedy Club used to have workout night for headliners on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And I was in the back with some comics, and we were talking about the thing you couldn't say on stage, and the one word you could not say on stage was there's no way you could say the C word on stage and get away with it. That there's absolutely no word on God's green earth you could ever say the C word and get away with it. And I bet that I could. Now, we were drinking. And we were in the back doing shots of something. And I bet that, I'll bet I could. And I expected to get booed off. I made sure there was a path that went right from the stage that was cleared so I could get from the
car
stage.
was warmed up.
Yep. There's a driver there. And you run right out, jump in, and take off. And again, this is not a word that I throw around. So don't wait to get the wrong impression. This was a free expression argument. And so I wrote on the spot this bit about what is it about that word. And I didn't use the word it was a 5-minute minute. And thank God I recorded it because I ended up doing it later. And I didn't say the word for the first 4 minutes. I talked about it. I said it starts with C, rhymes with runt. What is it about that word that makes it so offensive? And I talked about it. And where I finally said the word was, I said, what I love is guys who will throw that word out in anger and then have the nerve to try to take it back. And no, honey. What I said was you're acting like I never called you that. I didn't say that. I said you were acting like one.
Nice.
And women were laughing and clapping.
Yep. Yeah.
Women were laughing and clapping, and I was shocked. And so I did it again. And I was going through a divorce at the time too, which made it easier to throw the word out. But I
don't mention that part.
I forgot that part. That valuable information. But I did it actually for a while. It worked well, but I was very surprised. I was very, very surprised that I got away with it.
Well, as a writer, you protected you protected the fictitious. You protected this guy. And you protected your character within your own bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Your wife probably didn't like it.
Ex-wife.
Yeah, X. I just want to know who the group of comics were. I think we were all around at that time. I want to know who the group of comics were that were all.
You might have been there actually.
I might have been one of them.
Seriously, I think you might have been one of them.
Oh, that's really funny.
I think I remember Becky Pedigo was one of them. I remember.
Oh wow! Rest in peace.
Yes, indeed.
Memorial, great comic. That Cobb's Bar was responsible for a lot of daring jokes. John Stout, Scott Chesney. I wouldn't have tried half this stuff. They called me the drunken master. And honestly, I think I did get an alcohol problem from those days because, it was those giant pint glasses, margaritas and beer. And it was, it's like half your pay is the bar.
Yeah.
We weren't getting paid on those nights. They were workout nights. We had 20 minutes and we didn't get paid, but we got drinks.
But
we got drinks, we got food.
That small Cobb's room was so great, though. I mean, it was just magic. You had a semicircle of people, half nice English tourists who are in a good mood. It's in the wharf. It was just an unrecreatable situation.
Now I've had a joke, and we've all had this, where you do a joke that is so close to the edge or over that while you don't really get in trouble, you'll have the whole audience go, ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we've all had that joke. And I just thought of that as one of those Cobb's jokes that I had. There was a night when that room was in the Cannery, which is a tourist area of San Francisco. And there was this couple in the front row this one Thursday night they were from Dallas. From Dallas, Texas, and the older couple, and the husband's got on a cowboy hat, and and the woman's in a western. It looked like they came directly from square dancing to comedy. It was like one of those kind of deals.
Yeah, and
they're heckling everybody. They're sitting right in the front row, and every single comic who comes up, they got something to say. And they're heckling, and it's like, and nobody was able to tag them. And at the time in California, there was an energy crisis, so we were having rolling blackouts. Remember that? The rolling blackouts that they were having, where this city we blacked out for so many hours this day, then the next day, the next city we blacked out for so many. So we had rolling blackouts. So I get up and I said something, I forget what it was, and then the guy said something to me, and I said, well. I mentioned Texas, I forget. And he goes, well, in Texas, at least we got, he goes, in Dallas, at least we got electricity. And I said, well, in San Francisco, at least the president can ride around in a convertible without getting his head blown off.
Oh my God.
That's great.
Ooh,
that is so good.
That's
so good.
That's very Bill Hicks.
And they didn't say a word. Nobody said the word the rest of the night. See, you have to be able to say. So let me ask you this question. Have you heard the comments that Seinfeld's made in the last couple of years about not being able to say anything, not being able to play colleges, or the stuff that Leno has said in the last couple of months about why is it that you want to do anything that's divisive? Why would you automatically want to alienate half your audience? I'm thinking, wait a minute, you're the guy that did the dancing Edos during OJ.
I love that.
And that separated good comedy from bad comedy, the dancing Edos.
That was the line.
I thought that was the worst thing about the whole OJ. I know there were some dead people, but I think the dancing Edos may have been worse. It was such a
right under the murders. Yes,
low bar of it was so bad. As a comic, even then I was just like, what is this?
He did it multiple times. Yeah.
The worst part is if you watch it, there've been all these. There's like this whole '90s nostalgia thing going on now. Yeah, I've seen like 3 Scott Peterson documentaries that have come out.
Yeah. He might be innocent now. Yeah.
There's a Jean Bonnet one that just came out, and there've been a couple of OJ ones, and Judge Ito loved it. And used to bring people in his chambers. He'd record it on his VCR and would bring people in chambers to show them the dancing Edos.
Good God. I forgotten about the dancing Itos, and thank you for reminding me. I mean that sarcastically. Now it's in my head again. The thing about what like guys like Seinfeld and are saying about like colleges, I think it's two different conversations. Would I have the best time playing a college now? Maybe not, but also maybe what I'm saying doesn't resonate with college students. It really does depend on who you are as a comic and how you know. Mm-hmm. But I also think that, so yeah, colleges can be harder to play the older you get. The more your perspective changes, the more your comedy changes.
I was college age when I was playing colleges. Right?
Yeah.
You and I so we were right there.
I was in my 20s when I was, and early 30s or whatever, when I was doing college. The last college I did, I was in, I think, I want to say in my mid 30s or something like that, and maybe a little bit later actually. And I remember doing a joke, telling a story about a friend who had come out to me, but he had, before he'd done that, he had these riding boots, these black knee-high riding boots. And I thought they were cool because I don't know, Han Solo, whatever. And he had loaned me these boots, and then, like after I borrow them, like months later, this guy comes out to me, and that's when it occurs to me, oh my God, the boots. And so that's sort of what the story revolves around. At some point, I think the literal line I say in the bit is, found out later, the guy who loaned me those boots was gay. Well, in a room full of college students, just that line makes everybody prick up a little bit more. And maybe not even I think in a lot of clubs, people are kind of like, oh, where's he going with this? There's that nervous, and we used to see this a lot in San Francisco, a little bit of like, oh, he's talking about a certain group of people. Is this going to take a weird turn? And I remember having to call an audible and just say, and I'd never said this inside of the bit before, but now look, I believe whoever you are, you should be able to wear whatever you want. And then you could feel them, oh yeah, okay. And as a matter of fact, I said that, and then I heard this weird noise, and I'm like, what the hell? Is it raining? What's going on? We're indoors. And I looked out and I realized it's a bunch of kids snapping. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. God. No, don't do that. Just laugh or don't do anything. I don't want to hear. This isn't beat poetry. But I think it's two different conversations. And I think that also, every generation goes, oh yeah, what you used to do, that shit isn't cool anymore. So I don't want to, there's shit that they were saying back in the 50s and the 60s and even in the 70s. I don't want to hear that shit anymore. We now know, oh, that's not cool to say. So I think they're two different conversations. And I think it's lazy to be like, you can't play these college kids anymore. They're just too sensitive. Everyone's too sensitive. Okay, well, maybe it's you.
Yeah. I was listening to a Sam Kinison CD that I found. Mm. And I knew Sam before Sam was Sam, when Sam was doing came up here to do one-nighters, and I worked with, he took me to LA for the first time when I was like 18, 19. Wow. to corrupt me. And there's stuff that's like, man, there's no way. I mean, there's no way. I mean, he's got a Marilyn Monroe necrophilia bit. It's killing. Yeah. I mean, the audience is just crazy over this thing.
Right.
And so there is stuff that just, again, that there are jokes that are jokes of their time. Mm-hmm. But I love jokes. I mean, I like old I'm a big Jack Benny fan. Jack Benny still makes me laugh. That stuff holds up, but then there's other stuff that you just can't do.
Well, what about Leonard? There's stuff that even I can't do anymore from the 90s. A lot of like kind of a big thing. Sarah Silverman, I do a little bit like where you do a racist joke, but it's so crazy. Obviously, I'm kidding.
Right.
I'm joking on racism, but you can't. That's not cool anymore either because it's not good. That's still now we realize, oh, that was bad. So I think even within our careers, things have shifted a little bit.
See, I wouldn't say it's bad, Tony. I would say it would depend.
Oh, you haven't heard the bit. It's bad.
What's
well, Tony does a whole thing where he puts a white sheet on and then he actually
lights
reads
a cross
from his manifesto.
It's a solar powered cross.
Okay, maybe you bring that bit back. Solar power.
Yeah.
There was a clip I saw from during the Mike Myers and Dana Carvey era of SNL when Heather Locklear was the guest, and they were doing she and Myers were doing this like QVC thing. Sketch, and he would pull out something to demonstrate, and she say something really like offensive about everything with a smile, not realizing
I remember this.
Remember that sketch?
Yes.
Well, it's like, oh, this new knife that you can use and to make julienne fries, isn't it wonderful? And then Heather would go, it's so simple, even a Mexican could use it.
Yeah. Yes, I remember that.
Like that.
Yeah.
And I'm going, could they get away with that now? Probably not.
No,
Probably
but you have to. I mean, if you're going to do that, you better lean so hard into the point you're making, and you know, audiences now are very just kind of wound up, and they're ready to hear, oh God, something. And look, we've been hit with like shit like Michael Richards and on stage going on his rant, and we've seen certain things. We've been hit with and all these guys have come back and tried to make amends, but even like Tracy Morgan caught some fire for saying some kind of anti-gay shit, but this stuff has happened years ago that these guys have sort of, again, apologized for, made amends about, no matter whatever you feel about them, they've sort of turned a corner, I believe. But I just think that like audiences are because of that, and then because of just where we've come as a nation and in the climate politically and everything, everyone's a little bit nervous. And that's, sometimes that's on the audience, but if you can do a bit. I don't like hearing the phrase, I hate when actors say, yeah, we couldn't do what we did on The Office now. Like, maybe you could.
Well, let me give you a perfect example. Did you guys ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yes.
How I Met Your Mother is one of my all-time favorite shows. I got turned on to it about the 4th season. My kids were really into it. And that was a season that came on Netflix. It blew up the same way that Breaking Bad didn't blow up till it went on Netflix. And all of a sudden people started watching from the beginning. So it's the 20th anniversary. The show ran for 9 years, 200-something episodes. And it is considered a classic. And so they're doing. I'm listening to a rewatch podcast of it because I haven't seen it in years, and it's really, really well written and heartfelt and clever and innovative. But there's a lot of shit that doesn't age well. And what's interesting is it's hosted by Josh Radnor, who played the lead, and Carter Bays, who's one of the two guys who created. They were all like in their 20s when they were Letterman writers who created it, and all the stars were in their early 20s and whatnot. So every couple episodes, they talk about the episode, but they'll apologize. Like there was something where Neil Patrick Harris's character referred to somebody as a tranny, and he says, "Hey, we were young and we were ignorant, and that was in 2005, and we certainly know we wouldn't do that now. And if we made anybody feel badly, it was 20 years ago. It's okay. We'll cut you some slack. It was 20 years ago."
Yeah. Well, I'm all for airing that shit out, and yes, certainly there are jokes and things that were said, words that you wouldn't put on your show anymore. I think the spirit of a lot of these shows is something that I don't think I think Jennifer Aniston recently said, "Oh, the stuff we got away with on Friends, you couldn't do it." I'm like, calm down. It was Friends. But I believe in like putting that shit up front and center and being like, this is how we used to be. Can we be better than that? I don't like the move that, I think Disney does that, where they like to, we're going to take this scene out of the movie, or we're going to put like if you're showing your kids this and they have questions, maybe you better, or before they have questions, maybe you better tell them, these crows that are running around, this shit isn't cool, kids. Anyway, enjoy the movie. I believe in kind of don't hide from what we used to do,
Historical context, kind of a little bit. This is what happened. Yeah.
Wasn't there a thing like maybe 15 or 20 years ago where Steven Spielberg announced he was putting out a version of E.T. I haven't seen E.T. since it came out.
Oh yeah,
you remember that?
with the flashlights instead of guns. They did. They changed it.
They did change it. Okay, yeah, where the cops come in or FBI or whoever it is. The alien, and they have guns, and because Drew Barrymore's so anti-gun, she talked to him about it, and so he changed it. Like, come on. I mean, it's 1982 when that movie came out. And nobody's gonna, be traumatized because the fact that they see, be more traumatized by an alien living in your house.
Yeah,
somebody coming in looking for him with a gun.
Yeah, maybe put a gun in the alien's hand. Give ET a gun. Yeah. That's the version I would do.
If you're gonna go, ouch, give him a reason. Say ouch.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it kind of goes back to, I know you made a post about when Pat Benatar is not going to sing "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" anymore.
Yeah. Yeah,
because it implies domestic violence. When I always thought it
she said no. She said it's a glorified gun violence is what she said.
But I also thought I always took it as she's a strong woman.
Me too.
But also it's the artist's choice, whatever. But it is like, it's interesting where the line is on this stuff too. Like I'm with Kevin, just like, hey, this is what it is, whatever. But then to change the art. It's just like, well, it's almost like a piece in time too. This is what was happening, and we've moved beyond that, or whatever. But this is a benchmark of what was like. So yeah, it's a slippery slope, and it's a weird thing. I think.
So what is Britney Spears going to do about "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time"?
Yeah,
but she couldn't change it too.
Oh my God!
Not wearing those skirts anymore. That's it for that.
Oh my God! Well, here's another example. I've been watching with I have a little 2-year-old granddaughter who loves Pixar movies, and so we've been watching all the Toy Story movies. And Randy Newman does all the music for all the Toy Story films. So I don't know what it was that made me do it, but I've got Spotify, and I put on a song that he had when I was a kid called "Short People." But I'd never listened to the lyrics. You ever listen to the lyrics of Short People?
No.
Okay, listen to the lyrics.
I've only heard comics reference that song.
Oh my God! I listen to it and bop along. And,
isn't it satirical? Like
it is. It is.
But people, it's like Born in the USA. People don't hear they don't hear the lyrics. They get caught up on short people are bad. They don't. And also, if you're short people, you're not appreciative of the song.
No, it's short people got no reason to live.
Yeah,
he actually says that they get grubby little hands, and I mean,
wow,
it's a comment on biasness and bigotry.
It wouldn't be so bad if Randy Newman wasn't 6 feet.
Yeah,
well,
if he was 5'3" and singing it, then nobody would care.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let me move on. Did any of you see the big medical discovery that the Trump administration made?
Yeah, I just threw away all my Tylenols.
I just took it. I'm trying to get an abortion.
Aren't we all?
Right.
I mean, it's just. It's one of those things that kind of leaves me at a loss for words. Why would you believe anything? Well, first of all, that Donald Trump says about anything, but certainly in regard to medical care. And
the guy who said to swallow Clorox, maybe that guy.
No, he didn't say swallow Clorox. He said inject yourself.
Get
it right, Tony.
Oh, yeah.
And also, obviously, he doesn't know any kind of policy. Someone just tells him something, and he just says it.
He couldn't even say it. He couldn't even pronounce acetaminophen.
So he doesn't know what's going on. One RFK lackey tells him, "Here's what we're doing," and he just does a speech. He doesn't get in the weeds in any of this. Is this really a good policy?
I think the Tylenol has a curse on it. Because, years ago, someone put cyanide in the bottles.
That's right.
Oh, I remember that.
And I think 12 people died, including
that is another retro documentary. You can watch it right now on Netflix.
Oh,
it's still unsolved.
And a 12-year-old kid died. But I have to say that I'm a little bit not that I believe if it's coming from Trump or RFK, but I do believe that the medical establishment might pass things that, their opinion changes. Like my mom, when she was given a drug to prevent miscarriage, and it wound up giving cervical cancers to mothers and daughters.
Mm-hmm.
And so, shit happens. I'm not saying that.
Well, look at thalidomide and some of the stuff that
exactly.
Thalidomide.
Yeah.
But the thing is that we have medicines that have a decades-long track record of success. I mean, how many people, let me ask you a quick poll. All right, have any of you, aside from your parents, aside from maybe your parents or your grandparents, known anybody in your generation to have mumps? I haven't. Anybody else?
No.
I had
No.
mumps.
You had mumps?
Okay. I guess I'm older than all of you.
No, I doubt it. Okay.
I'm by far the oldest.
How about measles?
I had measles.
Mm.
I'm just I was
happening?
a sickly child.
I'm glad we're over Zoom then. I
Yeah.
didn't realize I had typhoid Jenny on the show. All right. How about polio?
Black plague. Who's had black plague? Anybody?
I had that. Sure. I get that yearly.
Yeah,
Black
every year.
plague's coming back big time.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
mean, really.
How about polio?
My uncle.
Man, you got
Ginny,
some bad
what's
genes.
happening?
Really? Where did you grow up?
Wisconsin. That says a lot.
Oh, okay. That's it.
Okay, well.
But for the most part, I mean, whooping cough. These are things.
Yeah.
That,
My niece had whooping cough.
Oh, Jenny. Jenny.
Jenny,
Spontaneous
do you
combustion.
date much? Or you
No, I don't.
have you ever had mono, Jenny? Have you had mono?
my
Have you had mono?
gosh.
I had Epstein-Barr.
Oh, are you on the?
So did Trump.
Are you on the
Anyway.
Epstein-Barr list?
Hey-oh. I heard and appreciated that.
Thank you, Kevin.
I didn't hear it. But
Well, bottom line is that I know people because of the 9-month plus tirade of Kennedy and those who are around him, people who are intelligent, people who should know better, people who are educated, who are questioning what's in the measles vaccine. So, for example, if you got the measles vaccine, I think prior to 1968, you need to get a booster because it's different. But now they're questioning what's in it. What's in the polio vaccine? This stuff has been working for decades, and measles was almost eradicated. Now it's in 31 states. Now in Florida, rather, they want to get rid of vaccine mandates.
Yeah,
In the state of Florida for kids in school.
public schools.
There are a lot of people that are going to die and die from preventable diseases.
Yeah. Well, I wonder when we got to the point, and we've been here for quite a while, actually, where we could really be rapidly swayed by suggestion. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I remember an episode of The West Wing where, and we've seen this in real news, but I remember an episode of The West Wing where CJ Kirk, I think she was the press person, and she gives her little briefing, and they kind of wanted to take the story off of one thing that President Martin Sheen was doing, and they wanted to get another story out there. And so she gave her thing, said, yeah, blah, 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 this, that, the other, here's the rundown. And she goes, and there is no truth to the rumor that the president is meeting with the prime minister, blah, 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 blah. And then all the reporters like, wait, what the hell? And suddenly that became a story. And suddenly, well, is he meeting with the prime minister, blah, blah, blah. And I think we are there now. I think it now somehow, if you just say, I don't know, something might not, the measles vaccine, it might have the fluoride in it. And there is fluoride in everyone just takes it and runs with it. And we don't, it's like you said, you needed two sources. We don't need two sources now. We just need to get it out faster. And
I also
just
think
multiplies from there.
this goes in cycles.
That's the whole Joe Rogan podcast is what you just summed up.
Right.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Was it? Is it?
I heard that,
I heard. Takes responsibility off you.
I think it goes in cycles because my boyfriend in college was trying to convince me that fluoride was in the water, or and was bad. And maybe 20 years ago, my sister-in-law was on this newsletter that said the Columbine boys hadn't been breastfed, which is why they became that way. And I wrote back and I said, well,
whoa.
I know. It was this group of women that believed that the Columbine boys, like how they would know how if they were breastfed or not, weren't breastfed, and that led to their behavior. And I was like, well, then you have to go back and figure out, like, I wasn't breastfed. And you're like, how do you know? And they all got mad at me that I just asked, how do you know they weren't breastfed?
Okay, you did have the mumps and the measles, though. So is there a thing there? Is there some correlation?
Yeah. Like, why I'm not a trusted source.
Also, it's totally birth order is why these guys did it, not that. It's birth order.
Also, one of them was a Sagittarius.
Oh, there we go. I knew it.
You know, that is a conversation I had with a young mother. I should say a mother of young children, like middle-aged middle school kids, a couple of days ago, about how much privacy your kids should have. And we were talking about Columbine and how much responsibility those parents should. And I don't know what happened to the parents. And I know there are a couple of books, but I've never read them. But it's like, if I like let my kids when they were in school and high school and stuff, I let them have their privacy. I don't read your diary. I don't do stuff. But if I want to go in the room, I'm going in your room.
Yeah.
I'll knock, but I'm going in your room if I need to go in your room. But in this case, how do you not know your kid's building pipe bombs in his bedroom? I mean, stuff like that. How do you not know that your kid's got hundreds of rounds of ammunition in your house? I mean, is it fair to blame the parents?
I know a lot about Columbine. I was at MTV when it happened and watched it, and we did a lot of coverage, and I've read all the parents' books. I think that in the case of Dylan Klebold,
Dylan Klebold, right?
Yeah, in the case of Dylan Klebold, their parents missed it, but not from. I mean, they were good parents, and I'm not saying Harris's parents weren't, but they were military, and I think there was a lot in denial because they even met with some of the victims who were shot. Met with the Harrises to try to say we feel for you, but they got what they felt that they got in return was just the Harrises just were kind of like in this denial, like he was a good boy, and I don't know. It was, but there's no answer. There's no answer.
Other than this one aberration, other than this one time, you be a good kid your whole life. You shoot up a library one time. That's all that they talk about.
One bad.
But I wouldn't wish. Like what the parents of the killers went through on anyone.
Oh
either.
no, God,
sure.
no.
Yeah.
God no.
Did
they stay married? I'm curious.
The Klebolds did not. The Harrises did.
They did stay married.
Yeah.
All right. Now my next question is: did they reproduce after that?
Well, they have an older brother, and he feels very bad because he feels like, everybody's second guessing. Did I make fun of my brother? It's just bad all the way around.
I really don't know where we go from here.
Not a lot of silver linings in the old
school shootings. No,
that one. This whole autism thing, and Tylenol. I'm just wondering, do you think that people are going to believe this crap in the masses? But I mean, autism was first identified in 1911. Acetaminophen was invented like in 1955. All right, so let's start there.
I look, maybe I'm living in a bubble, but I feel like, especially with this happening kind of alongside everything with Kimmel and the FCC and what's going on, this stuff isn't disguised anymore. It's all front and center, and it does look kind of absurd, and more people are talking about it. So I feel like it's not going to go anywhere. And I also, from what the little bit I've heard of it, I feel like medical experts are racing to try to convince people that this isn't actually the actual people who know what they're talking about, because that's the other thing too. Certainly we have been told, hey, this is great for you, and then you turn around and like, oops, this isn't good for you. But it's not some goofy guy standing up there next to another goofy guy going, yeah, don't do it, just don't take it, guys. It's a medical professional. It's the whole, you got to dig for it. You got to learn, oh shit, okay, someone did some research, this is why they're saying this is when this started, not just some dude going, yeah, it's nothing bad can happen.
Well,
and with Dr. Oz standing next to you.
Yeah, even Dr. Oz came out
what? Gwyneth Paltrow was not available. So
it's also a very specific market. The only people who are going to be affected by it are pregnant women. So it's like whether pregnant women are going to stop taking
pregnant women with the fever.
Right, right. But
well, they said your baby too. He said not to give it to your baby.
Yes, I mean, but the ones who are not going to take Tylenol will be the mom or the pregnant women. But I think
that babies Benadryl. That's where you get babies. But go on.
I think enough people have taken Tylenol. Like everybody has, unless they have an allergy, everybody's taking Tylenol. So I think it would be harder for it to get much momentum.
I think if people want to believe that shit, feel free. What I hope is that the medical and the scientific communities kind of stand strong and go, yeah, that's not true.
Well, there are about 5 or 6 op-eds that are out today from, the autism community in terms of parents of autistic children, in terms of medical researchers and doctors and social workers who deal with children with autism and try to help them support the families and things. There are all kinds of op-eds saying that this is absolutely ridiculous. It's the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard, and it's going to hurt autistic families probably more than just about anything other than what it is they've already dealt with.
Yeah,
it's crazy because they keep trying to pin autism on it. Is a vaccine, now it's Tylenol.
Well, I think it's because the guy who originally came out with a study saying that autism was linked to vaccines, they exposed him, and I mean that was a person who thought, I don't think it was a belief. I think he was trying to make
here's what the deal was, because I had him booked as a guest on radio once, and I canceled it once I did a little more research because I didn't want to continue to spread the misinformation. Dr. Andrew, I forget his last name, he was paid for that study. That study was a drug company or something that paid him for that study and for that specific result. And he disavowed it himself. And then, the World Health Organization and the CDC and every legitimate medical organization in the world completely disavowed it. And where it came from is it was the MMR vaccine is what it is that they claimed caused autism. Measles, mumps, was it rubella? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
But here's where they got this from. And that is that you usually get that your kids now usually get that shot. I think it's 2, 3, something like right. I think it's right in there. And it's also the time when if you have a child that's on the spectrum, that's when it shows up. And so therefore they presumed a causation because they happened at the same time. That's like every time I eat French fries, I usually have a hamburger too. It doesn't mean it's just I got a hamburger, French fries.
Right.
At the same time.
This all just made me think of a long time ago. When I still lived in San Francisco, I dated a girl who, the night that we met at Cobb's actually, and
didn't we all?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
She drunkenly told me she was working on a paper about how vaccines have linked to autism. This was long enough ago so that it rang no bell. I just went, okay, whatever. Like it was the end of the night. We've both been drinking. I'm in a car in the cab with this woman going, yeah, sure, all right, whatever. And then it's years later. when it's in the Discord, when we're all talking about it, and I'm like, oh, so she was a kook. Okay. Like,
but an early kook.
Early kook.
Before it was like,
OG
okay,
kook.
this is a Jenny McCarthy thing. And
oh, boy.
Well, I'll tell you, people look at anti-vaxxers and we always think that it's uneducated, ignorant, and they're not. They're not. They're miseducated. Well, I'll tell you, I did a show with somebody. Actually, I was going to have on that Dr. Andrew, whatever his name was, and somebody from the World Health Organization, and I dropped him and kept the World Health Organization person, and I got all this hate mail from Marin County, where 6-figure incomes, highly educated,
the health and
professional
wellness community is very big into anti-vaxxing, like the wealthy yoga moms and all this. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, wasn't
really
that was it? I don't want to say I think it was Jenny McCarthy who came on with some show and doing the same thing. So
The View was The View. She was a panelist.
Was it The View?
She was an early loud voice for anti-vax.
Yeah, and like for a lot of, even my brother and his wife considered not vaccinating, and it wasn't out of being stupid. They just didn't know. They weren't sure, but they went ahead and vaccinated. Because that was at the time that they had said autism was caused by vaccinations.
If you go to other states, just if you go to red states, and get out of the blue state bubble, it's just I'll give an example. I have a friend who lives in Scottsdale. I go and visit in Arizona every couple, 3-4 months. And I stay at a Hilton Garden Inn a couple miles from his house, and I Uber over. So for
these sponsors, you're these sponsors.
I'm hoping
a lot of product placement.
I'm hoping that they are. So I'm at a Hilton Garden Inn, and we stop at McDonald's. And so for about a year after the shutdown, I didn't go out of the house without a mask.
Yeah,
unless I was on stage, if I was going to the store. For a year. All right. So it pulls up. This Uber pulls up, and I come out. I'm in my mask, and it's a 10-minute ride. And as soon as I get in, the guy goes, "Oh, you don't have to worry about that. About the mask. We don't have a mask mandate here." I go, "That's all right." He goes, "No, I'm fine. My wife and I, we take our ivermectin every day."
Wonderful.
And I said, "Let me get my second mask. Put on over the first mask." Yeah, we take our horse dewormer and it was straight face, and I didn't want to go. You're an idiot. You're just. I'm gonna. A buddy of mine who's got horses said that his vet said that they've got to lock it up in a safe because vets offices are getting burglarized, or at least they were being burglarized for ivermectin.
His safe at the Hilton Garden Inn. Presumably.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, and I can even give you I just threw in an ivermectin plug. As a matter of fact.
Also, just be safe, guy. I got it 2 weeks ago. I got a bad case. I was just getting over COVID. It's back hard. I think it's back, and it's being unreported.
It is bad.
I got it. I got a couple friends who had it. We're all like, "Sick." I'm like, "Test." I'm like, "Yeah, it's COVID." You don't think about it anymore, but it's back.
No, there's a surge.
Do they give you anything for it, or do you just wait it out?
Well, I even had a booster maybe 9 months ago, but I just forgot to get this,
Yeah.
And,
I did a big party, and it was at a yacht club with a lot of non-vax, probably. Nothing worse than a successful white person who's made it on their own. Just so arrogant.
I think about Herman Cain. Herman Cain died.
Yeah. Yes.
It's how Herman Cain died.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he got it at a Trump mixer.
He got it at a Trump mixer,
yeah.
and it was in defiance, in part in defiance of masking.
Right.
He went to this thing, and then he caught it, and it killed him.
I really thought there was going to be a lot of people in the red states are going to. I wasn't looking forward to it, but they're going to learn their lesson, and it'll be clear who the blue states are going to survive and the red states will. And it didn't happen, and. And I'm just shocked because it just empowers them for more misinformation, you know?
Well, I think a lot of people got it and then ignored the fact that they had it and just kind of walked around.
Or in denial.
Yeah. Or and people, all the asymptomatic people too who had it and didn't even realize.
That's right. Well, I've had it 4 times.
Wow.
I have had I get every shot. I get every booster. I just had a booster, the most recent one last week, and I get a flu shot every year. Now, 3 of the times that I had it, I was completely asymptomatic. I did not know that I had it, and I just decided to test because the first one I was my youngest son was living with me, and he got it. And so I tested positive, but I never felt bad, So I quarantined and the whole thing. Other 2 times, nothing, not a symptom. Last time I got it, oh my God, I was sick as a dog. But the point being is that, and this is where people don't understand vaccines, is it doesn't mean you're not going to get it. It means that if you do get it, it's going to be a lot less severe than if you weren't vaccinated.
Right.
I'd have an argument with my sister today. An argument over text, which is a lot better because I can go, my battery's low.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
I'm at 3%.
And my battery's low. Over getting the shingles vaccine. And I got it. And I will warn you, if you've not gotten the shingles vaccine, do get it, first of all.
Yes, absolutely.
I knew somebody who was bedridden for 4 months.
Jesus.
Young and bedridden by young, I mean like in his 30s, and was bedridden for 4 months.
I got that too.
You've had everything, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I'm not surprised. I'm not. Why am I not shocked? So, but I recommend that you get it, and if you do get it on a Friday. It's 2 doses. You take the first dose, and then it's a couple of months later, something back for the second one. The second one, I forgot I even took. First dose, I was so sick, I wished I was dead. I wish I were dead. It was that bad for a day. 1 day, then I was fine. Right. But if you're going to do it, get it on a Friday.
Why?
Because that way you got the weekend. You don't have to do anything.
I mean, if you're old, get it on a Friday. If you're young, get it on a Monday.
Good point. Solid.
Oh my Lord.
Adjust accordingly.
Last thing before we get out of here. A news story that is breaking right now. I was working on morning. I'm just kind of looking to see my producer was going to let me know whether or not there were any changes during the time that we're recording, and I see no message. There was a shooting this morning in Dallas at an ICE facility. There were 3 people shot. 2 were killed. 1, as of the time that we were recording this, the most recent information we have here at 2:19 Pacific time on Wednesday is that 1 is in critical condition. The shooter died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So again, this is just all the information that we have. So what the deal is, as far as they know, again, the most recent information as of now is that the shooter was a white man who fired a gun from a rooftop, basically like a sniper, from the rooftop of an attorney's office across the street from the ICE facility. The people who were shot, all 3 who were shot, were detainees, meaning that they were immigrants.
One was an officer.
So that's like, so 1 did turn out to be an officer. Okay, because the one, are you sure that this is the same one? Because there was another one where there was an officer shot in the neck, but that was like a couple of weeks ago or something. Is this?
No, what I had read was that there was an officer and 2 detainees. And what's troubling about that is they're trying to say that the bullets had anti-ice on it.
Okay, that's where I'm going.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going, is that you had, 2 of the people, all right, so we'll say 2, the 2 dead, and again, this is the information I've got, unless you've got something different that I haven't seen. The 2 dead are detainees.
Correct.
What I read was that all 3 were detainees, but the 2 dead are detainees, and before any of this information was even out that I'm giving you, you had J.D. Vance, you had Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, you had Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, and all these MAGA people tripping over themselves to say this is because of anti-ICE rhetoric. We have got to protect ICE agents because ICE agents are being attacked and being killed, and it's because of how it is that we are talking about them. And then you find out that, wait a minute, they make it sound like it was, some undocumented immigrant who decided to kill ICE agents, and that based upon this, that's not. It's like what they did with Charlie Kirk. It's not the same. The information doesn't match up to what their narrative is. Now, there have been other attacks. There was one on the 4th of July, and they're all in Texas too. There was one on the 4th of July where at an ICE office where a police officer was shot in the neck. That was on the 4th of July. There was a man with an assault weapon who fired dozens of rounds at federal agents as they were leaving a border patrol facility in McAllen, Texas, a couple of months ago. And the shooter's name was Ryan Luis Moscato, and he injured a police officer before he was shot to death. So there have been 3 at least. Plus, there was a guy that walked into an ICE office and said he had a bomb strapped to him, and didn't. So I guess a couple of just quick questions on this. One is, do you think that ICE agents are being unfairly demonized? That's number one. Number two, this whole thing with masks and them being masked is really bothersome and troublesome. If what my attitude about this is, there's as far as I know, no other law enforcement agency in the country, if not in the world, where you don't have to at least wear a badge with your number unless you're undercover. Or something with your name so that you are identifiable. If what you're doing is so right and so just, why are you hiding your face? And the excuse is because they fear retaliation. Well, any cop who pulls you over, any cop walking a beat, who's showing his face and wearing a uniform, has got his name on it, is when you're in law enforcement or working for the DA's office or working for the courts, you could potentially face some kind of retaliation. So California, Gavin Newsom signed a law that they can't wear their masks here. You can't in law enforcement wear your mask here. I don't have all the details of it, unfortunately, but it's available.
Yeah. So
how do you feel about them being masked, number one? And number two, do you think that ICE agents are being unfairly demonized? And before I say that, I just want to mention this because I want to mention this as much as I possibly can. Dean Cain joined ICE. Dean Cain, of Superman and Lois and Clark.
Yeah,
not Superman and Lois. Love that show. And I'm a big Superman fanatic of Lois and Clark. He's a big MAGA guy, and he joined. Volunteered, joined, went to the training and the whole thing. And what's his name? Dr. Phil is going on ICE raids now and assisting ICE.
Well, that's what they need. Good. Okay. There you go.
It just, because I've been following this morning, the one thing about masks and them saying that they fear retaliation, well, you're arresting and deporting immigrants. So I don't think you're going to have, unless it's their relatives or something, you're getting rid of all your enemies. But what bothered me about this particular story is Kash Patel from the FBI said that anti-ICE was inscribed on the bullet. And I'd like that to be verified by somebody outside this administration, because the shooter, if he shot detainees, that doesn't make sense. And if he shot detainees and an officer, then it's just indiscriminate. And it's just a deeply disturbed individual who doesn't have an alliance. So, he's basically anti-life. So I think the fact that they immediately say this bullet is inscribed with anti-ICE, and especially coming from Kash Patel, I don't necessarily believe until somebody else confirms it.
Well, it actually came first from the FBI agent in charge of the Dallas office. That was the first place where it came from. And I guess Kash Patel, either he told Kash Patel that or Kash Patel told him to say that, which is probably more like, but I mean, you can't believe a word that comes out of Kash Patel's mouth. I mean, did you see the hearings, the most recent hearings?
No, he's nuts.
I mean, even J. Edgar Hoover goes, come on, I wouldn't go that far. J. Edgar Hoover's looking up from hell going, oh, dude, you know.
He's taking off his high heels and throwing them down.
His pearls. He's ripping off his pearls. But I was just going to say, I saw a post this morning on Threads, and I don't know if this is a joke, but the user had, there was a italicized thing saying, this user is suspected of being part of the terrorist group Antifa. Please report any suspicious behavior. And so then I went on the person's post, and all she had were posts about her dog, her dating online, and she had one thing that said Mark Maron for president. And then her recent post was, "Cum is soup." Well, make of that what you will. But I don't know, like, if she put that up.
Then what are crackers?
I don't know.
Oh.
But
It's a good one, Brian. Makes you think.
all I'm saying is, if this really is coming from Meta or something that's writing that this person is suspected of being of Antifa, she could have put it up herself. But I thought it was interesting.
Well, I think Trump signed or plans to sign an
that it's
executive order
terrorist.
that Antifa is a terrorist organization.
Anti-fascists are terrorists. Interesting.
Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, and how they keep lying about every single study ever done on the subject has shown that with domestic terrorists in America are primarily white men. Yet they are lying through their teeth and claiming that who are they claiming it is? Latinos, African Americans, anybody else?
Immigrants.
They're saying immigrants. Is that what they're claiming?
Immigrants. Yeah, it's all this. Everything is, the science is so cherry picked, and reports that come back against the administration are just quashed and squelched. It's just like the information, and you think the only people who are going to suffer for long terms are just American people. Really, it's not going to be I don't think it's going to be the right or left. I think it's going to be us as a whole. I don't think they get their comeuppance, and I think the COVID kind of demonstrated that.
Right.
We just all suffered, you know.
Yeah. Well, with that, that's all we got time for. So very quickly, anybody got anything they want to plug? Tony, got anything coming up?
Oh, I have my show with Laura Keitler called What We Thought Would Happen podcast on Apple iTunes. We just had the amazing Karen Kilgariff this week, so look for that. And I have a new album called Ass Pocket of Whimsy on Stand Up Records.
Awesome. I'll check it out. I will check them both out.
Thank you.
Kevin, what's up with you?
I am hosting I was about to say I'm hosting a new podcast, but I'm not. I'm the new host of a podcast called Maximum Film, on the part of the Maximum Fun array of podcasts. But we talk all about movies. It's myself, Drea Clark, and Alonso Duraldo, and it's very fun. A delightful, funny chat about film. So check that out. It is Maximum Film wherever you listen to your podcasts.
And Gino, where can folks catch you?
I'm just gonna plug a local LA show.
No, we don't allow that.
October 9th in a mortuary in Pasadena. It's called Horror Nerds, and it's called it's just called The Mortuary. It is a real mortuary, and it's in Pasadena, October 9th.
Now, the upside of that is based upon as many germs as you told me you carry. Being in a mortuary will make it much easier for people who come to. So, should your audience come masked? Would that be a good idea for their own protection? Should they?
Actually, we're going to have the rapture happen.
Oh, perfect.
Well, I hope you feel.
Gina, thank you very, very much for doing this.
Thank you.
Please come back. Okay. I hope you had fun and hope you'll come back. Come back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, this was my first time too.
No way.
What haven't you?
I thought you seemed like an old pro
No,
on
I
it.
thought you were, yeah.
You've been on before.
I don't think I have.
Oh my God, you seem like I thought you were on.
My apologies. I don't know why I thought you'd been on before, Kev. I'm
Not
sorry.
at all. Hey, listen, it's just good to see you guys.
Oh, well,
you too.
thank you for doing. I was going to thank all for doing it and ask you all to come back.
Thank
I hope
you.
do. But thank you. This you being your first time. Yeah, you were great at this. Maybe you sit in for me when I'm sick sometime.
Happy to do so.
I
Yeah.
don't feel like doing it.
I'll be getting all my vaccines. So,
Do.
yeah.
Please do. Tony, thanks. Always good to see you, my friend.
Thanks, Brian. Always fun.
All right. Oh, by the way, I want to mention too that in the show notes, all of your information and your websites and how folks can reach out to you over social media.
Oh, great.
It's all there. And if you're listening,
Awesome.
you didn't know that, it is all there. So if you hear somebody here you like, or you want to take issue with, or you want to give some, I don't know, maybe some health advice to how to stay healthy, perhaps you might want to check it out so you can reach out to her. Them.
Hey, them.
All right. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure. That's
Bye,
going to do
guys.
it for us. If you like what it is that you heard or saw here on YouTube, please do subscribe. Please make sure you like and you subscribe, and please tell your friends, tell them any way you possibly can. If you like the show, send them a link. Wherever it is that you are listening, if you're listening to the audio version of the podcast, be it Spotify or Apple or any other place that you can listen to audio podcasts, do us a favor and number one, subscribe. Number two, go and give us a 5-star review, because that helps people to find the show. So with that, I will check you out next week. Unless something happens, if something happens or something breaks, we will come back with a special episode. Until then, be kind to your neighbor. He knows where you live.